It is Week 12 in the National Football League, and we have another NFC West showdown on our hands this Sunday as your Seattle Seahawks are underdogs once again, this time taking on the Arizona Cardinals in a pivotal game for NFC West pride. The Cardinals at 6-4, Seattle at 5-5, and let's go ahead and take a look at the playoff picture. The Cardinals leading the division, holding the number 3 seed. But you look at Seattle, they're at 5-5, playing Arizona twice in the next 3 weeks. They certainly can reverse fortunes and be leading this division, or at the very least be in the thick of the wild card race. On today's show, we'll go over our keys to victory, the injury report. I'll give you my prediction as well in just a moment. If you're ready for Seahawks game day, spam S in the comments section. I want to see at least 300 S's in that comment section. Get loud and proud as if you're in your seats at Lumen Field. Get the chat going. Let's get the S's fired up, and we'll get started here with today's show. Let's begin with the injury report for Seattle. A few names to get to, starting with the tight end position with Noah Fant. He's questionable with that groin issue that we've talked about the last week or so. Also at the tight end spot, Brady Russell with a foot injury is questionable, so you're a bit shorthanded at that position. Shenault also with the oblique injury at the wide receiver spot. He is questionable, mostly with Shenault's injury that could affect the return game for Seattle with the oblique there. And then speaking of the return game too, D. Williams with an ankle injury. He is questionable, so they might need to call on some reinforcements when it comes to special teams coverage there. The Cardinals with a few injuries themselves. They include Jalen Thomas with an ankle injury, or Thompson. He is questionable. The defensive end, Darius Robinson, formerly from the University of Missouri, with a calf injury. He is questionable. Jonah Williams, the offensive tackle, former L.A. Ram, with a knee injury. He is questionable. Then Isaiah Adams with a back injury. He is questionable as well. So 2 defensive players, then 2 guys on the offensive line potentially out for Arizona as of the time of this recording on Wednesday. So what's it going to take to beat the Arizona Cardinals? Let's begin with our keys to victory for Sunday, starting with containing Kyler Murray, the Arizona Cardinals quarterback. Murray's had a very good season. A nice bounce back for him. Last year came in late after the ACL injury and didn't really find his footing in 2023. Now in 2024, Kyler Murray has been on it. He's been very accurate, one of the most accurate quarterbacks in the league with a 69.2% completion percentage. Very nice. Over 2,000 passing yards, 12 touchdowns. QB ratings, fantastic, 100.8 and 3 interceptions. The passing threat is there. But when you talk Kyler Murray, and you go all the way back to his days at the University of Oklahoma, the same can be said. You have to account for his speed. This is the fastest quarterback in the National Football League, and the ACL and all that, he's fully recovered. This is not affecting his running ability. You go back to October 6th, and he had a big touchdown run where he clocked in at 21.27 miles per hour. That was the fastest time that any quarterback has run as a ball carrier in the last 8 seasons in the National Football League. So when we talk about containing Kyler Murray, it's not just when we talk about the passing game, but accounting for his running ability. You cannot let him go off because he's certainly capable of doing so. Who do you got? I got my prediction coming up later, but want to hear from you guys. You going with the Seahawks or you going with the Cardinals? Type C for Seattle, type ARI for Arizona. Weigh in, let us know. We'll be live this Sunday for the Seahawks matchup against the Arizona Cardinals. Our coverage begins at 1:25 p.m. Pacific time. I'll be here. Big Tex will be here. You will not want to miss it. We will react to the game in real time, have a few drinks on hand. It is going to be a good one, folks. It is a game you will not want to miss. Make sure and spend it with us in the 12s right here on Seahawks Today. Subscribe now, youtube.com/Seahawks TV, and we'll see you on Sunday. Let's talk about the offensive line now. And I got to tell you, I was very impressed with what we saw from this group against San Francisco this past week. They have some momentum. Now it's a matter of, can they keep it up? Can they continue to build upon what we saw there against the Niners this past week? Olu was fantastic in his first start of the year. Abraham Lucas was very good, played in about 70% of the snaps. I expect that number to go up. We've seen Charles Cross do a good job this year. You got some question marks at the guard spots, but at the very least, you can feel optimistic. Now, what can they do to build upon that? And you look at this matchup against Arizona, for guys like Lucas, for guys like Olu, this is not some team that is just loaded with pass rush talent. They rank towards the middle of the league in almost every major statistic when it comes to their pass rushing abilities here. So for Seattle, honestly, this should be an easier test compared to what they did against San Francisco. These guys like Abraham and Olu and others held their own and did a really good job against a prolific pass rush in San Francisco. Now they're taking on a pass rush in Arizona that's not nearly as good. Not saying they're bad, but not nearly as good as San Francisco is. This is a huge opportunity for these guys to step up and continue to build upon what they did last week. Let's move on to number 3 in our keys to victory, and got to touch on the hottest name for the Seattle Seahawks. That is Jaxon Smith-Njigba. JSN, a couple weeks ago, with DK Metcalf out, they needed somebody to step up and answer the call, and JSN did that with a huge game against the LA Rams. Then when DK stepped back in, we wondered, was that going to reduce JSN's role from what he had done the week prior against the Rams? Was not the case. The last 2 games are the best stretch of 2 games in his entire career. 17 total catches, 190 yards, just over 11 yards of reception, 2 touchdowns. JSN is on a tear right now. And leading this team in catches and yards, he has been fantastic. And whether it's the third down plays that he's been so effective in, those third and medium situations, whether it's getting him out open in space, JSN's shown that ability to do it all. And if I'm Geno Smith, I'm looking to get JSN involved early and often in this game to really set the tone for this Seahawks offense. Who will be Seattle's MVP against Arizona? If you had to name one player, who is it and why? Is it JSN? Is it Geno Smith? Is it somebody else? Get in that comment section and let us know who you think Seattle's MVP will be. Today's show is sponsored by PrizePicks. PrizePicks is the place to go for daily fantasy made easy. Here's how it works. You choose 2 or more players in any given category. Get the choice of more or less, whether you're talking fantasy points in football, rebounds in basketball, goals in hockey, all sorts of different categories to choose from. Go to prizepicks.com/CLNS, promo code CLNS, and they got a great deal they're offering. They will give you $50 to spend for free when you play $5. You don't even have to win to get the money on PrizePicks. Just go to prizepicks.com/CLNS, promo code CLNS. I've had a lot of luck with PrizePicks, whether I'm mixing and matching football with baseball. I've thrown in some auto racing in there as well, some NBA stuff. Maybe you're a Kraken fan as well as a Seahawks fan. You can mix and match these things, folks. And there's all sorts of different categories, from passing yards to fantasy points, receiving yards. Go see for yourself. Play along with us. PrizePicks.com/CLNS. Promo code CLNS. The link is in the comments and description of today's video. All right, let's shift gears now back to our keys to victory for Seattle. And I talk about this almost every week. And I got to say, establishing the run is going to be a big point of emphasis for this Seahawks team. And I think what we saw last week against San Francisco with the way Olu and Abraham Lucas played on the offensive line, there's reason to be hopeful. There is a light at the end of the tunnel that the run game can finally get going for this Seahawks team. And it starts with Kenneth Walker. K9, we know that he can be a top back in this league, but he's got to be given the opportunity to show it. That's up to the offensive line to give him that chance to do so. So far this year, close to 500 yards, 4 yards a carry. What he has done a good job of, I will say this, and same can be said for Charbonnet too, is they're getting in the end zone. They're punching it in, taking advantage of those short yardage situations, but we're not seeing this team break off the long runs like we know they're capable of. If they can get the run game going and stretch the field that way, then watch out. You look at the rushing rankings, and you got to hide the women and children because it's been bad when it comes to this run game, folks. Rush play percentage, not very high. Rushing yards per game towards the bottom of the league. Rushes per game towards the bottom of the league. Rushing yards per game, 28th at 91.5. But the rushing touchdowns, like we mentioned earlier with Kenneth Walker, towards the top, 6th in the league. It's not just about getting in the end zone and staying away from the friend zone, but also doing the work to get there. I think the run game as a whole can do a better job there. Last but not least, I got to talk about Marvin Harrison Jr. He was, going into this draft, one of the most high-profile wide receivers that we've seen. And a lot of it obviously had to do with who his father is and playing at the Ohio State and everything. But he's putting in the work here this rookie season. And I don't even think, even though he's played good, that he's played to his full potential yet. I still think he's waiting for that huge breakout game. He's had 2 100-yard receiving games, and maybe Sunday's going to be his third. I hope it's not the case. But you look at the statistics, not a bad rookie season, close to 500 yards, 6 touchdowns, 33 catches. But he is somebody that you got to keep an eye on every single play. And if I'm Seattle, I sure hope that they're putting Rick Woolen on Marvin Harrison Jr. all day long and doing what they can to minimize his impact. He's going to get his to an extent, but the key is to minimize what he does. Don't get cooked. Don't get beat by the big play from Marvin Harrison Jr. because he can do that on any given play. What do you hate most about the Cardinals? I feel like we bring this up a lot when we talk the Niners or even the Rams for that matter. What do you hate most about Arizona? Survey of the 12s. I'm very curious. I like the city of Phoenix. I love the state of Arizona. I go there a few times a year. It's not the city for me. What is it about the Cardinals? Weigh in. Let me know in the comments section. To recap, our keys to victory for Seattle on Sunday, containing Kyler Murray. Offensive line, keep the momentum going from a week ago. Continue to feed JSN. Establish the run. And don't get cooked by Marvin Harrison Jr. If Seattle does all those things, they should be in good shape. I expect a close game, but a Seahawks win on Sunday. Give me Seattle 24-21 to build upon last week and have their second straight win. I think the Seahawks can get it done. That's my prediction, 24-21 on Sunday. If you're ready for a Seahawks win, spam W in the comments section. Let's get the W's going. It worked last week. No reason why it won't work this week. Get the W's going, and we'll see you on Sunday right here on Seahawks Today.